Let's talk about this. Hockey, NHL trade deadline, the end of the week. All-time record, 54 trades made at the NHL trading deadline. Tell you what, in Carolina, they got a lot of explaining to do. They made a big trade in November to get Mikko Rantanen, 40-goal scorer from Colorado. He was in the last year of his contract. They traded for him, and they couldn't get him to sign an extension. He turned down $13 million. He had asked for $14 million from Colorado and said, no, we're not trading you more than we're paying Nathan MacKinnon. So they traded him to Carolina. Hurricane couldn't get him signed. They turned around and traded him to Dallas. Dallas signed him immediately, $12 million. Now, he got less in Dallas than was offered in Carolina and what he demanded in Colorado, but Rantanen has gone there. He's a really good hockey player. The other thing in Carolina, step up here and answer this question to your season ticket holders. You traded a 6'4" right winger who scores 40 goals for a 5'8" undersized forward and 2 number 1 draft picks who knows when they're going to be delivered and will they ever get to the NHL, because the NHL draft's a crapshoot. That's what you got for a 40-goal scorer. So Carolina's taken a lot of heat. Just like Boston. Boston walked in with a broom, and Cam Sweeney and their general manager just decided we're going to sweep the cupboard clean. They got rid of Brad Marchand, their captain, and they got rid of Charlie Coyle. Marchand went to the Florida Panthers, the enemy on the East Coast. Marchand was asking for a ton of money. It's a 27-goal scorer captain. He's your emotional flag carrier. You traded him out of Boston. So he goes to the Florida Panthers. I don't care that you got number 1 pick. Number 1 pick's not deliverable. He might not be on the ice in Boston for 3 or 4 years if he makes it. So that's a big issue there. And, of course, then they got rid of Charlie Coyle. And, of course, they lost one of their top stars in the Four Nations tournament. That's the big story. Colorado has built a whole new team at the trade deadline. They got 5 acquisitions, the Colorado Avalanche did. Buffalo, which has got a lot of goal scorers, went out and got some grit. Got a big 6'5" defenseman from the Flyers, and they got a grinder to play at center ice. And Edmonton did not get a goalie, but Edmonton got a big physical center, and Edmonton got a big defenseman. And Winnipeg, which is one of the best teams in the league, got 2 really gritty players, led by Brandon Tanoff, who's feisty as can be. He'd look at you and punch you in the mouth in addition to go around you and score a goal. So, I mean, those are the teams that made a lot of things happen. Like I say, 54 trades, all-time record in the NHL on draft deadline day. So that's hockey. Let's talk San Diego FC MLS. Nobody puts an expansion team on the field and goes to first place, but SDFC has. They won in Salt Lake City, 3-1 in 38-degree weather. Can you imagine playing soccer in 38-degree weather? They beat Real Salt Lake. They scored in the 91st minute. They scored in the 96th minute. And even though they don't have Chucky Lozano, Anders Dreyer scores another game-winning goal for SDFC. They are 2-0-1 so far in MLS soccer. Just spectacular. They come home this coming weekend for their 3rd game. The other story is off the racetrack. That's Formula One we're talking about. He was one of the first leaders of F1 as it grew from just a European series to a global series, to coming to the United States. Technology, lots of money, unbelievable, expensive sport to be in. His name is Bernie Ecclestone. He was a former driver. He became the leader of F1. He has since retired. Bernie Ecclestone, over the weekend, sold his entire group of cars in a collection that he had because he was a former driver, 69 cars. He sold it to the owners of Team Red Bull for $663 million. Included are Formula One cars that go back to 1950 when Bernie Ecclestone first broke in. It includes a collection of cars that were driven by Niki Lauda, Michael Schumacher, Nelson Bouquet, Ayrton Senna. So he collected all these cars as he was the leader of F1. He's got them in a museum in a warehouse in England. And the group that bought all these cars is going to convert it into a true racing museum in England for all race car fans from around the country to go to. I mean, it's phenomenal. But Bernie Ecclestone, who's 94 years of age, has decided to part ways with all of his automotive collection, and he sold it to the owners of Team Red Bull. Just that's a fascinating story. It's like I'm selling all the baseball memorabilia. Build a museum in Cooperstown for me. That's what he's done in auto racing. That's kind of cool. John, table is yours.
Well, yeah, you can't take it with you, exactly. So you got to donate it. And, I'm not one of those guys, but there are guys that just love old cars, whether they're F1 or they're, just classic automobiles from different eras in American history. So this is cool. And I had mentioned I had been to that Silverstone. Was it Silverstone?
Yes,
yeah.
In England.
The F1 track there right outside of London. And they have a nice museum there. But this sounds like it's like a Jay Leno style museum, with like you need a big warehouse for it, like a hangar.
Yeah. So Bernie Ecclestone has made that available. I'm surprised you did not get your ass traded at the NHL deadline. I thought first somebody else would be sitting there this week with me.
Well, I'm gonna use Callan's question. I was looking ahead at Fans Forum, and he just wants to know, who do you think won the NHL trade deadline?
I would have to say, obviously, the Florida Panthers getting Brad Marchand, because that's a great veteran player at age 37. They're going to sign to an extension, who's also a chemistry guy, and I think that's huge. I don't know what to make out of Rantanen going to Dallas, because he is a sniper, is a goal scorer, but they got Jason Robertson. They've got some really good players, and Dallas is a really good team, and now you add a 40-goal scorer to that team. Holy cow. And they signed him to a contract extension. He got off the plane, and they signed him to $12 million a year after Carolina failed to get the deal done and Colorado gave up on trying to get the deal done. Colorado's changed their chemistry. They could be really good, but the problem is you got 5 new players coming in the front door and you got 30 games left in the season and your system's radically different. Can you fast forward the Colorado Avalanche guys and get them into a system in which they play well? And Colorado's had some goaltending problems on top of it. Kings did not do anything of note. Rob Blake on a Zoom call told us, I'm not trading my young guys. I'm not trading Quentin Byfield. I'm not trading Brandt Clark unless I can get the right guys. I was not going to move these guys just to move these guys to appease you guys at the trade deadline. So he stayed the course with what he's got. Ducks did not trade goaltender John Gibson. When I last talked to you on Thursday, I thought he might be headed to Edmonton at the deadline, but he's got such a big contract and he's played really well that teams, I don't think Edmonton could take him on because of the contract. I don't think Anaheim wanted to pay some of the salary going forward each of the next couple of years. So John Gibson did not get traded. I like Winnipeg's acquisitions. I think getting some grit to go with what they've already got. That's a good hockey team. And now you add Tanev, who is just, I hate to use the word bleep disturber, but that's who he is on the ice. He's like Kachuk. Kachuk causes all this mayhem. That's what Tanev is. I think Winnipeg's 2 acquisitions were pretty good, and they did it without giving up a number 1 pick or giving up a ton of stuff. So those are the winners at the trade deadline.
Can we talk a little about San Diego FC?
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, that was great. Now, first of all, I remember Aztec Mike telling me that you had to buy the, what was it called? All Access on Apple TV to get it. And so I ended up buying that because I guess the first 2 games maybe were complimentary for Apple subscribers is my guess. What a great game that was. I mean, and to see the San Diego FC with all the attacking going on, I'm learning more about soccer, which I like. I'm getting to know who these players are. The thing about soccer, which is great, is it's like an alternative vocabulary, you know, it's like we'll have quality out on the pitch, and different kinds of words you don't normally hear in other sports. But, you're talking about like 38 degrees, but the English Premier League plays in those kind of temperatures. Sure. And you'll see the coaches with the long down jackets and people in the stands drinking whiskey and with all their extra clothes on. I mean, Salt Lake, by the way, I like that name, Real Salt Lake. I think it's pretty classy. And they're one of the better teams in the league, is my understanding. Yep. So what San Diego FC is accomplishing is tremendous. 7 out of a possible 9 points to start. Got to be thrilled.
Yeah, Anders Dreyfus has turned out to be Anders Dryers has turned out to be a sniper that nobody really expected. He was hidden in Denmark. He was not playing in the first division. So nice acquisition. So far, so good. So that's all things there. Feel free. You want to jump into the Fans Forum chat box with an opinion. Last one.